roar of the crowd, the sound of 100 hooves pounding the turf, and another great race is underway. 25 of the world's finest 3-year-olds round Tattenham Corner and enter the straight in, yes, it's the Derby. Greatest of all racing classics, the world's most grueling test for thoroughbreds. The quiet of the countryside, the familiar shapes of noted mares at the National Stud, breeding ground for racehorses which have made turf history. Here, Big Game, sire of 138 winners, has his own private paddock. Big Game, who helps perpetuate the quality of English racing stock. Stock which goes back to 3 18th century founding fathers, in whose blood the pedigree of all English thoroughbreds has common ancestry. Here is quality, the result of careful breeding. Quality which has become a national heritage in good horseflesh. Quality. In motor design, as in horse breeding, the quality rule runs true. Here at the Nuffield factory, the latest tests known to science are carried out. Their objective, perfection. Their method, a detailed check on results. Quality in material, quality in design. Dozens of specialized tests are evolved and applied with this one aim in view. To the study of noise and vibration, for example, has been brought the science of electronics, by means of which the problems of mechanical movement can be analyzed and resolved. The shimmy test, the vibrator test, the colonial test, which employs the universal dynamometer and its drums of irregular surface to reproduce the rough conditions met with on many overseas tracks. Tests for starting efficiency in sub-zero temperatures. Tests for dust-proofing qualities in the teeth of a tropical khamsin. To Marseilles for another test, a test for stamina. It's the starting point for a 2,000 miles run over inferior roads and under the most exacting conditions. Yes, it's the Alpine Rally. Ahead of them lie 6 days of arduous driving, 6 12-hour stages, along a route which takes in 40 of the most severe alpine passes in France, Switzerland, Italy and Austria. Lessons learned from the test bench are now to be applied to the problems set by nature. "120 cars started on this first 400-mile stage to Monte Carlo. But the strain of 20-mile climbs in second gear up and down the slopes of 6 mountains has proved too much for a third of the entries. Both Rileys and MGs have averaged 45 miles an hour and reached the checkpoint well on time. A 100 miles of fast driving along the Turin Autostrada forms part of the second 400-mile stage towards the Italian Alps. Every minute counts in the overall time check, and halts at filling stations are cut to a minimum. But penalties are also incurred by too early an arrival, so an MG driver offsets his earliness by checking in after filling up. Of the 81 cars which proceed on this second stage, only 44 remain unfaulted, and 18 of these are British. Normal traffic intermingles with the Alpine Rally cars the whole way en route and adds to driving hazards. Despite this handicap, a 60-mile average is maintained, for it is along this stretch of autostrada that the flying kilometre speed test is clocked. More traffic to pass, calling for speed with care. Although the surface is good, constant running at full throttle puts a great strain on an engine. The contours of the surrounding countryside begin to change as the cars approach the Dolomites. 5 mountain passes lie ahead, among them the Pordoi, 7,000 feet high. Tires, cooling system, lubrication and expert driving. These are factors which will count in the miles ahead. How are the MGs faring? Those laboratory tests stand them in good stead as they negotiate the bends of the Croce Pass. And here, heading for the water, is number 46 from the MG stable. Not only waterproofing, but suspension and steering gear design are subjected to a thorough testing on this section of the run. Croce is the highest of the 4 peaks on the 3rd stage from Cortina to Innsbruck. Rounding the bend is MG 58, one of the remaining 64 cars still left in the trial. Stresses and strains of cornering will account for another 12 before the end of the day. Road signs are more picturesque than useful when cornering at such speeds. It calls for careful planning and forethought on the part of co-drivers, who must be a little ahead of their drivers on maps and timing throughout. Many cars could not engage top gear for more than a quarter of the run. Tires suffered on loose surfaces. On Croce in particular, dust became a handicap. Italy, into Austria, then back again through Italy to Switzerland. The 4th stage of the trial is set against the majestic background of the Brenner as the cars approach from Innsbruck. 52 cars only of those who started the trial. Beautiful mountain scenery is here for those who have time to take their eyes for a moment from the road ahead. But here too are gradients estimated to entail more than 11,000 gear changes up and down the sides of mountains, with some of the roads zigzagging for as much as 22 miles before they reach the top. Ahead, the nightmare hairpin bends of the Stelvio Pass. A zigzag on the highest mountain pass in Europe. Gradients which do not ease until one reaches a height of 9,000 feet. Up the road and round the bend. It's O'Reilly and making good time. On steadily increasing gradients, he's one of the select who will successfully reach journey's end. Meanwhile, the MGs forge ahead. Numbers 47 and 46 are doing exceptionally well. At this height, as much as 25% of engine power is lost. And it is under such conditions that overall efficiency of engine design counts for so much. So past the checkpoint at the top of the Stelvio Pass, with only one more peak to cross before St. Moritz. Andermatt, gateway to the 8,000 feet Furka Pass. 240 miles of steady climbing and descending face them on this fifth stage of the trial, from St. Moritz to Megavy. It's a road which passes through many tourist centres, heavy with holiday traffic. The pace slows as the rally cars steer carefully through the narrow streets. Once more, the not-so-open road. It's an uncomfortable section in which the greatest skill is needed to avoid accident. Alpine Rally cars are involved in at least a dozen minor collisions before they finish with this pass. It's a road which makes great demands on gearbox, steering, brakes. So towards Megavy, on a lap which has included 5 high peaks, and with the knowledge that the morrow will bring the final but hardest stage of all, 400 miles of continuous mountain road over the Haute Alpes to Cannes. It's been a hard road they've followed since leaving St. Moritz. High on the mountainside, the Rhone Glacier looks down on passes which are the background to a motoring epic. Just one of the many, an official's car. But believe it or not, he'll be back on the road in half an hour. If Broken Springs could talk, there'd be a chorus at the entrance to the Galibier Tunnel. Less than half the 38 cars which reach it manage to clock in at the checkpoint on time. Ahead lies half a mile of blackness, and then the long road down. It's a sign which might well do for a tombstone on many a car which has failed to make the grade. The way down brings the problem of how to maintain a high average speed. 10 miles of the Galibier descent have to be done in second or third gear, with the driver's whole efforts distributed between steering wheel, brake pedal and accelerator. O'Reilly's problems are not eased by fellow travellers on the road. All safely behind. They're more than halfway through the final 390 miles. Now to nurse transmission, so that penalties will be light when they pull up for final inspection. Behind them, 33 peaks, tracks which have disappeared at intervals in long stretches of broken rock and boulders, gradients which have seemed unending, speed tests when the engines deserved rest. Yet every car a production job, a job of which Britain may well be proud. These are the cars which have brought them through, and these the drivers, bred in the same tradition. 2,000 miles they've come, 2,000 miles through an unending chain of Alpine roads at a high average speed which has called for the best from man and machine. It is a best which comes of quality. Quality in material, quality in design, quality in the performance of the men who built these pedigree machines. The MG cars captured 2 firsts and the team prize in their class. So to the sunshine of Cannes. From tests like the Alpine Rally comes knowledge which enables the Nuffield organization to build such quality-bred cars as the Morris Minor, the Morris Oxford, the Riley, the Wolseley, the MG, the Morris 6. Cars recognized as thoroughbreds the world over.